another episode of Econ and Finance for the People. I've gotten some feedback on the speed of the videos, so this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try and keep it to under 5 minutes, hopefully around 3 minutes, but I'm not going to speed it up. It's just going to be at my natural pace, which you may find is a lot slower than some of the other videos. Hopefully I won't waffle too much. So today we are carrying on with getting into your very basic economic theory. All of this stuff is quite entry level. I would put it at high school level economics. So if you don't understand anything, please let me know, and or you can put your question into the comments and I'll be happy to respond, because it hopefully should be something easy. Okay, so as we carry on with our journey into understanding a little bit more about economics, today is the day we finally get to talk about curves. I know you've all been waiting to talk about curves, right? Well, we're just going to dabble very briefly into the idea of economic curves, just to kind of get a handle on what they mean and how they work. So to start with, we need to, as you do, look at this Latin phrase called Ceteris Paribus. And Ceteris Paribus is very important in economics because it's the basis for our understanding of how we explain economic theory. Ceteris Paribus means all else equal. And what that's really telling us to do is, when we try and look at the market and understand what is going on, we better make sure that when we are examining one particular factor, all of the other factors should be the same or not move, otherwise we might come to the wrong conclusion. So an example of this would be, let's say that there was a beauty pageant and all the contestants had to line up in a row and they were going to be compared. I know some people might not like the idea of talking about a beauty pageant, but that's just what came to mind, so I'm just going with it, okay? So let's say all the contestants were lined up in a row and we were going to compare them and say who was the most beautiful. But what if half of the contestants weren't allowed to shave their legs, or half of the contestants weren't allowed to wear makeup, or half of the contestants had access to beautiful clothing and the other half had to wear rags? Well, it would be very hard to decide who was the true beauty queen of the pageant with all these changing factors. So the idea is that when we're examining a particular factor to see its effect on consumer behavior, everything else has to stay the same in this hypothetical examination. And the most common thing, or the first thing that we usually look at and talk about when we're talking about economic curves, is demand. So we're looking at price and how it affects demand. And generally, as the price goes up, we see the demand for a certain product go down. And as the price goes down, we see the demand for that product go up. Now please tell me this part where you get to watch my lovely drawings is your favorite part, because I'm going to draw you the fantastic, sexy curves that you have all been waiting for. You've sat through all these episodes and now you're finally going to get to see these darn curves I've been talking about. So on the left, we are going to put the price of the good that we're looking at. And over here on the right, we're going to put the quantity that is being demanded. So here we have our y-axis. Here we have our x-axis. Now we're just going to take an example. let's say that we are talking about ice cream. So if a scoop of ice cream were going to cost, say, $1, then, well, that's pretty cheap. Maybe I'll decide to have 5 scoops of ice cream. So at the cost of $1, if your scoop of ice cream is $1, it's so cheap, I'm going to be a little bit gluttonous and I'm going to have quite a few scoops. So I'm going to go for 5. And if we plot that, that's what this purchase looks like. Now, let's say that the ice cream store can't supply that much ice cream, so they decide that they are going to hike the price. The price is now $2 for a scoop of ice cream. Well, I still really like ice cream, but you've just doubled your price. So because you've done that, I think that now I'm only going to buy 3 scoops of ice cream. So if we plot that, this is what that would look like. And let's say that if we then hike the price all the way up to $5 a scoop, because we're in Cornwall Park and that's how much they cost. Well, then people are probably going to only buy 1 scoop. They still want ice cream in the park, but it's a little bit more expensive than $1. So now we've plotted 3 different demand quantities based on 3 different prices. And if we were to carry on plotting, this might be what our demand curve would look like. So there you have your first introduction, very basic introduction to the demand curve. Thank you so much for sitting through this video. I realize I have gone over 5 minutes. I guess I just can't help it. Now, in every video, I try to share a little bit of personal financial advice as well. And this is all advice that is offered without any acceptance of liability. If you want some formal financial advice, please see a qualified and registered financial advisor. These are just some life tips from my own personal experience. So one trap that I definitely fell into a lot in the past, and I have touched on this, but I just wanted to very specifically focus on this point today. Let's remember that our personal image is not a reflection of our self-worth. So if we see other people that are sporting certain name brands, or even if we wear a few nice items, but they have so many more than us, or they have so many more name brand items than us, they have more Louis than us, they've got more Rolex watches, and they're driving the Lambo, and we just have a little Corolla. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are ways to get ahead, and there are ways to go after what we want. But the right way to do that is not by remortgaging the house to buy the fancy car that we can't afford. So let's just keep in mind that the things that we own are not a reflection of our personal worth, of our value as a person. Each person is special and unique and has something to offer the world. And on that note, I would like to say goodbye and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you.
There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you.